Israel launches fresh strikes on Beirut as President Biden urges Israel to find a proportionate response to Iran. A judge in the U.S. unseals new evidence in the election interference case against former President Donald Trump. And dock workers on the U.S. East and Gulf coasts go on strike, a move that could lead to import shortages. We're live with U.S. Secretary of Transportation Pete Buttigieg. And President Biden surveys the damage left by Storm Helene as communities in the U.S. Southeast begin to rebuild. One of the California doctors charged in the overdose death of actor Matthew Perry pleaded guilty on Wednesday to a charge of illegally distributing the drug ketamine. Dr. Mark Chavez signed an agreement with prosecutors to plead guilty to a single felony count of conspiracy to distribute ketamine, a drug that acts as an anesthetic and has hallucinogenic properties. An autopsy found reports that the acute effects of ketamine was among factors that caused Mr. Perry to lose consciousness and drown in his hot tub in October of 2023. Allies of Kenyan President William Ruto have launched a motion in Parliament to impeach Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. President Ruto accused him of stirring ethnic hatred and undermining the government. Mr. Gachagua says he has been sidelined and has denied allegations that he was behind violent anti-government protests earlier this year. The High Court rejected repeated attempts by supporters of Gachagua to block the impeachment, while Ruto continues to ignore pleas by his deputy to halt the process. The International Organization for Migration says that more than 100 people are missing after smugglers forced them to jump into the sea off the coast of Djibouti. The two boats left Yemen with 310 people before sinking in the Red Sea off the East African nation. The UN agency says 45 bodies have been recovered so far. It is the latest boat disaster to hit the route, described as one of the busiest and most dangerous in the world. And 3 people are dead and 15 others injured after a man went on a stabbing rampage in a Shanghai supermarket on Monday night. Chinese police say they arrested a 37-year-old man at the scene, adding that he traveled to Shanghai to, quote, vent his anger due to a personal economic dispute. Firearms are banned in China, but the country has seen a spate of knife attacks in recent months.
Now to a court here in Singapore that will sentence a former Transport Minister, Subrahmanyam Iswaran, or S. Iswaran, on Thursday in what could be the first jailing of an ex-cabinet member in the city-state history. Mr. Iswaran, who was a minister for 13 years, pleaded guilty to 4 counts of receiving gifts and 1 of obstructing justice after prosecutors went ahead with only 5 of the 35 charges. The investigation into Mr. Iswaran centred on allegations that he accepted lavish gifts from businessmen that totalled more than 400,000 Singapore dollars, according to the prosecution. The gifts included tickets to English Premier League football matches, the Singapore Formula One Grand Prix, London musicals, hotel stays, a ride on a private jet and a Brompton bicycle. Now, before we go, stargazers have been treated to a rare annular solar eclipse. That's when the moon covers the sun, but not completely, leaving a distinctive reddish ring. It was only visible in parts of the southern hemisphere, like Easter Island, where these images were taken.
Our headlines today. President Biden has warned Israel against attacking Iranian nuclear sites. 5 people have been killed overnight in an Israeli strike in the heart of the Lebanese capital, Beirut.
A doctor in the United States has pleaded guilty to charges relating to the death of the Friends actor Matthew Perry.
100,000 newborn babies in England will be part of a genetic code screening programme to speed up life-saving treatments of rare illnesses.
And we hear from the brothers who've run the length of Britain in a quest to raise money to find a cure for early onset dementia.
Good morning. A rainy September drove shoppers away from the high street and put a dampener on the profits at some of our biggest retailers.
Old graves could be reused and closed burial grounds reopened to help manage a shortage of plots in England and Wales.
Graves could be reused 75 years after the last burial if the family of the deceased doesn't object.
One of the classic bands of the 1960s is being memorialised on a new set of stamps.
So we're talking about The Who, of course. 5 years they went from performing club shows, headlining Woodstock in the US, marking their 60th anniversary. The stamps from the Royal Mail feature some of the band's most popular album covers. Aha! I thought I recognised some of those.
No, it's The Who, it's not Aha.
Pete Townsend said he was pleased his years of stamping on stage being properly honoured.
Hello, Carol.
That went down well, Nega.
Went down a treat, didn't it?
It was tumbleweedy, wasn't it? Have you got any tumbleweed in the forecast, Carol?
It wasn't, though, because Carol was chuckling away. All I could see was Carol outside of my niche corpsing. She found it very funny.
And Charlie's reaction to it
was very, very funny. It's the way we roll.
All in the timing.
Oh, beat
It's all
that,
in the
Carol.
timing.
All right. Beat that, Carol.
I can't, Naga. Good morning, everybody.
Let's take a look at some of the papers today. We'll start with The Times, which headlines 8 Israeli soldiers die in battle with Hezbollah. The front page features a photo of an Iranian missile which was downed over Israel's Negev desert. The Daily Mail leads with the story that Sir Keir Starmer has repaid £6,000 after facing criticism for receiving thousands of pounds worth of gifts, including concert tickets, suits and glasses, since becoming Prime Minister.
Let's have a look at The Guardian, reporting a 7-fold rise in vaping among non-smokers. The paper says that 1 million people in England now vape, despite having never been regular smokers. And we'll be looking at that story in more detail in about an hour's time.
Many of the front pages are featuring the same picture of Catherine, Princess of Wales, embracing a young cancer survivor on her first day back at school after completing chemotherapy. The headline reads, Princess shares an emotional embrace with fellow sufferer. What you spotted on the insides?
Well, I just saw this obituary to Martin Lee, who was one of the singers with Brotherhood of Man, who, if you don't remember...
Save all your kisses for me.
Yes, which won Eurovision
That
back
was
in
the title
days.
of the song, not a phrase.
Save Your Kisses for Me. 1976 it was. Martin Lee died aged 77, who was the lead singer of the band. And they were saying about when he was talking about when they wrote the song and how they were trying to make sure it was catchy. And he said initially they're going to write it about animals because he said it was pretty simplistic. They said everybody all over the world loves animals, so we'll write a song with an animal in it. In the end, they came up with the line at the end, won't you save them for me, your kisses, even though you're only 3. And he said they thought, bingo, the last line, we've nailed it. Sure enough, they won.
That's your earworm for the morning, if you remember it. And if you don't...
76.
I was a year old, but it used to be played over and over in my house, and I do know all the words. Have you heard that phrase, your eyes are bigger than your stomach?
Yes.
Are your eyes ever bigger than your stomach?
Yes.
Do you waste food often?
No.
Have you ever been out... This is fun. Have you ever been out and been to an all-you-can-eat thing, where you pay a price and then you can go up and down to the buffet as much as you can?
Yes.
Do you
Is
choose...
this going anywhere?
Yes. Do you choose frugally?
At an all-you-can-eat buffet? Well, that would be counterintuitive, wouldn't it?
So do you ever waste?
No.
So there is the Star Inn at Vogue, which is near Redruth in Cornwall, has now penalised customers who leave too much food on their plates at their all-you-can-eat carvery. I'm so with them here. Landlord Mark Graham has said that so basically what happened, 2 people were eating, a mother and daughter. They didn't finish their £12 a head meals, right? So they were charged an extra £4.80 because they left so much food. And the landlord said, he described the amount left as pure waste, and he said, if you leave a few spuds, no problem. You can return to the carvery as many times as you like, pile it as high as you like, as long as you eat it. I'm kind of with him. Eat what's on your plate. Don't take too much. Yay? Nay? What do you think?
I don't know about that.
Being charged for more, for wastage.
I think if you're running an all-you-can-eat buffet situation, you don't really have much control over things anymore, do you? It's just that's all it is. People can just take what they want.
You shouldn't take food and just to waste it, should you?
Don't like waste. Don't like waste. Ben, do you like waste?
No, I don't. But it's an all-you-can-eat buffet, not an all-you-can-pile-on-your-plate buffet.
Exactly. It's in the labelling. It says it on the label.
To people, and I've done it myself, who go there and overpile their plates because it's kind of instinctive, isn't it? Because you
Be less greedy.
Also
for life, be less greedy.
A woman who was found to have been groomed by a sexually predatory police officer has told BBC London she has no confidence in the Met's promise to root out abusive behaviour. A disciplinary panel found former PC Phil Hunter guilty of gross misconduct. But one of the women he targeted said she had to beg the Met for help, and for years officers did not believe her.
If for some reason somebody I knew was the victim of a predatory officer, I would tell them not to report it. I would get them whatever help I could, but I would tell them not to report it.
Well, the Metropolitan Police has apologised. It took 5 years for her case to be heard and says it now takes a very different approach to investigating officers who are accused of targeting women and girls. London's night czar Amy Lame has announced she's going to stand down from her role at City Hall after 8 years. The night czar was a new role created by Sadiq Khan following his election as mayor, tasked with promoting the nighttime economy, and comes with a salary of over £132,000. It's not clear if Miss Lame will be replaced. A mural has been painted on one of the side of Guy's Hospital, celebrating the role of women of African descent working in healthcare and their contribution to the National Health Service. It took 2 months to paint each figure and includes one woman who currently works in the NHS, bringing the mural right up to date.
I mean, it's a lot bigger than I thought it would be. It's way impressive. I do love the colours. It's an honour and a privilege to sort of be featured in a piece this big that actually sort of communicates the multicultural sort of workforce the NHS as it is.
At 6, Britain agrees to hand over the Chagos Islands in the Indian Ocean to Mauritius, ending a bitter dispute that dates back more than half a century. In the 1960s, the UK evicted more than 1,000 people from one of the many islands to make way for a key US military base. Now they may be able to return. Also tonight, the GP accused of trying to kill his mother's partner by disguising himself and poisoning him with a fake COVID jab in a row over inheritance money. A senior leader of Hamas, proscribed as a terrorist group by the UK, speaks to our international editor, Jeremy Bowen. How tens of thousands of newborn babies in England will now be screened for around 200 rare conditions to catch and treat illnesses much faster. And a big night in Europe for a small club from Northern Ireland. We report on Larne, football's history makers.
And Bergerac is back. But who is the new face solving Jersey's crimes?
Groomed by a predatory police officer, one woman tells BBC London she has no confidence in promises that the force will root out abusive officers.
I believe Sir Mark Rowley has good intentions, but I don't believe it's within his capacity during his tenure to be able to actually achieve it.
The police say they've changed how they investigate cases. Also on the programme, the woman is found guilty of the manslaughter of her 4 sons who died in a house fire while she was out shopping. 94 new Piccadilly line trains for the Underground. The Mayor wants more money from the government for future projects. And opening its doors, one of 3 new schools in Essex, providing hundreds of places in the county. Police have made an arrest in connection with a suspected acid attack outside a school earlier this week. A 35-year-old man has been arrested on suspicion of causing grievous bodily harm. 2 teenagers were injured in the incident, one seriously. Two men whose attempts to evade police led to them losing control of their moped and discharging a firearm have been convicted. Brolin Dangi and Keimani King both pleaded guilty to possession of a firearm with intent to cause fear of violence at London Crown Court. They'll be sentenced in November. London has the highest number of patients per GP, according to figures from the Royal College of GPs. More than 2,500 patients are registered to each doctor. Numbers are higher in deprived areas. The Department of Health says it's determined to ensure everyone can access GP services. And you can find lots more stories on our website. Just head to bbc.co.uk/London.